The following presentation is part of the Technology and the Corporation Conference Series, sponsored by MIT's Industrial Liaison program.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start by telling you a little bit about BT. We are the incumbent telco provider in the UK, although we've had competition in our market for well over 20 years now, so we have a very dynamic telecommunications market in the UK. We also run a global business providing ICT, information communication technology integration services to global multinationals, companies with multiple sites in multiple countries and continents around the world. To that end, we have about 85,000 people in the UK. And we have about 20,000 people outside of the UK, about 4,000 of those in North America. My particular role is looking after corporate social responsibility for BT in North America. I'll be talking to you today, though, about us as a company as a whole globally. And what I'm going to try and do is paint a bit of a picture for you to illustrate our approach to sustainability. We approach sustainability from these three perspectives: in sustainable economic growth, tackling climate change, and creating a more inclusive society. Underpinning this are all the sorts of programs you'd expect to see in a sustainability program, addressing ethical policies and practices, sourcing with human dignity, community investment, diversity, employee well-being, all of those sorts of programs. But we come at everything from these three perspectives. And one of the things I think is fair to say I've learned, and I increasingly feel in this job as every week goes by, is that the interdependency between these three areas is more important than the separation between them. I'd actually collapse this graph, and I mean the overlap between these areas and the interdependency is more an issue than the separation of them. A little bit about how we approach recognition. I just want to draw out a couple of points from this. We very much approach this from the same way as we do our global business, the Dow Jones with an American feel to it, the FTSE for Good with a European feel, the Golden Global Peacock Award with a slightly more Asian feel to it. And we've been the telecoms sector super leader for the Dow Jones Sustainability Index for the last 7 years. And we're very proud of that. What I'm going to try and do over the next few slides is bring out three themes. One is forms of engagement, the key forms of engagement that really bring sustainability in to make it integrated with the business. Secondly, just illustrate a little bit about climate change and digital inclusion, two of our key areas of sustainability. And thirdly, try and illustrate to you that interdependency I mentioned at the beginning. First of all, engagement. Three areas that I think are the pillar of integrating sustainability: top-down, grassroots engagement, and customer engagement. This is actually Ben Verwaayen, our CEO, who recently chaired the Confederation of British Industry, who set up a climate task force to sort of follow on from and produce the business version of the Stern report. It actually came out about a week ago and is accessible on the web, and was chaired by our CEO. I think the point I want to bring out here is that the senior commitment we have to this is not just internal within the company, but these folks are also engaging outside of the company in where the country is going, where the globe is going in terms of policy on climate change. Engaging employees. I want to point out one thing on this slide. That guy in the photo in the middle is one of my America's employees and who won one of our global awards. The sorts of programs, Steve Packer, great guy. The sorts of programs you'd expect to see: carbon clubs to encourage our folks to take action on climate change, a program to encourage people to become involved in community investment work. But the one I want to just draw out here is where we really, I think, are integrating sustainability, achieving the balance. We have a very aggressive approach towards telecommuting and allowing and enabling our people to telecommute. About 15% of our UK employees and about 12% of our US employees, for example, are permanent telecommuters. And that's really helped our sustainability. For example, in the area of diversity, we have about 99% retention of working mothers returning to work after maternity leave, which is double the UK average. And we attribute predominantly towards our approach towards agile working and telecommuting. An example of where doing the right thing has both benefited us as a business and benefited our employees. Engaging consumer customers. I think on the brand side, this is a fairly well-established area. This was a program we ran where we planted a tree for every customer who would move from paper-based billing to internet-based billing to encourage a reduction in the amount of paper. I think the more interesting area actually is the increasing amount by which we are engaging our business customers in sustainability. This is a particular example of a European vending machine organization. And I'd ask you to imagine, if you will, somebody getting into a big truck at the depot, and it's a big truck because it's full of the soda that's going to fill up this vending machine, and driving 5 miles to the vending machine, getting out the truck, opening the front door of the vending machine and discovering it actually doesn't need refilling because it's full. And as I like to say, it doesn't matter how many GPS devices you've got in that truck to make sure it takes the most efficient route. It really didn't need to go to that vending machine at all. So one of the things we've done is we've worked with this customer to put wireless devices inside all of their vending machines that now tell them whether the vending machine needs refilling or not, and what it needs refilling with. Now, this makes complete sense from a business perspective. It's the right thing to do from an efficiency perspective, but it also allowed them, and there's a slight inaccuracy in the figures here, we didn't reduce their unnecessary visits by 10%. We actually reduced their unnecessary visits by 100%, and that was 10% of their visits. And that takes about 10% off your carbon footprint. And we also reduced the vehicle loads by 30%, and let's say that takes perhaps another 10 to 15% off the carbon footprint by reducing the vehicle loads. So this is an example, one of many, of how now we are engaging with our customers to help them with their sustainability and integrating that with our own products and services. This has allowed us to really integrate sustainability within our business for our employees and really work it into the way we do business. And we have, since '96, by 2006, we've reduced our carbon footprint by 60%, and we have an objective to reduce it by 80%. There is a small mathematical error of mine in your slides. If you see a 0.2 on your paper slide, if you could just cross it out and put 0.3, because we have an aggressive enough target that I don't need to add another 0.1 of a million. The 0.3 is the 80%. And it's through these programs of involving our people, our senior management, and our customers that I think we've been able to achieve this. I'm going to shift gears a little bit now and talk about the more inclusive society part and the economic sustainability part of those original three circles. These are a couple of graphs that illustrate the concept of the digital divide, the concept that there are haves and have-nots in our society,